Have you ever eaten what you thought was a healthy meal, only to watch your blood sugar spike through the roof? Or maybe you've avoided certain foods because they're high glycemic but still struggle with your diabetes management. The truth is, most of us have been focusing on the wrong number, and that mistake could be sabotaging your health goals without you even realizing it. Hi there. Today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood aspects of nutrition science, the difference between glycemic index and glycemic load, and why knowing this difference could be the key to finally taking control of your diabetes. The concept of glycemic index was first introduced in the early 1980s by Dr. David Jenkins at the University of Toronto. It was revolutionary at the time, finally a way to measure how quickly foods raise our blood sugar. But what researchers discovered in the decades since has completely changed how we should think about carbohydrates. Let me explain with a simple example. Which do you think would raise your blood sugar more? A small piece of watermelon or a bowl of pasta? If you said pasta, you'd be right, but not for the reason you might think. This is where most people get confused. Watermelon actually has a high glycemic index of around 72, while pasta has a moderate glycemic index of about 50. So why doesn't watermelon send your blood sugar soaring higher than pasta? The answer lies in glycemic load. You see, glycemic index only tells you how quickly a food raises blood sugar, not how much it will raise it. That's because glycemic index doesn't account for portion size or the amount of carbohydrates in a typical serving. Glycemic load, on the other hand, takes both the quality and quantity of carbohydrates into account. It's calculated by multiplying the glycemic index by the amount of carbohydrates in a serving, then dividing by 100. Let's go back to our watermelon example. While it has a high glycemic index, a typical serving contains very little carbohydrate, just about 6 grams in a 100-gram serving. That gives it a glycemic load of only about 4, which is considered low. Pasta, though? A typical 1-cup serving contains about 40 grams of carbs, giving it a glycemic load of around 20, much higher than the watermelon. This distinction isn't just academic. A 2008 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that glycemic load was a much stronger predictor of blood glucose response than glycemic index alone. And a 2019 meta-analysis in the journal Nutrients concluded that focusing on glycemic load rather than just glycemic index produced better results for diabetes management. Dr. Walter Willett from Harvard School of Public Health puts it this way. Glycemic load is a more practical way to evaluate the impact of carbohydrate consumption. But here's where it gets really interesting. The University of Sydney's team of nutritional scientists found that when people with type 2 diabetes followed a low glycemic load diet, not just a low glycemic index diet, they showed significant improvements in blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity. What does this mean for you? It means you don't have to eliminate foods simply because they have a high glycemic index. What matters more is the total impact on your blood sugar, the glycemic load. Let me give you a few more practical examples. A medium banana has a high glycemic index of 62, but its glycemic load is only about 11, moderate, not high. White rice has both a high glycemic index, 73, and a high glycemic load, 35, in a typical serving. Carrots have a glycemic index of 39 but a glycemic load of just 2. And here's something that surprises most people. Adding healthy fats and proteins to your meals can significantly lower the glycemic load of your entire meal. A 2006 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that adding avocado, healthy fat, to a high-carb meal reduced the blood glucose response by almost 30%. So what's the takeaway here? While glycemic index is useful information, glycemic load is the more important number for managing your blood sugar effectively. It's the difference between understanding a food in theory versus understanding how it actually affects your body. As Dr. David Ludwig from Boston Children's Hospital notes in his research, The concept of glycemic load makes the critical distinction between concentrated sugars and starches versus the same amount of carbohydrate consumed as whole foods with their natural fiber. In practical terms, this means building your meals around low glycemic load foods, vegetables, fruits with edible skins, legumes, and small portions of whole grains, while being mindful of portion sizes for higher glycemic load foods. For those managing diabetes, this approach has been shown to help maintain more stable blood sugar levels, reduce insulin requirements, and even contribute to weight management, a crucial factor in type 2 diabetes control. So the next time you're planning your meals, remember, it's not just about choosing low glycemic index foods. It's about understanding the glycemic load of your overall meal and how it will impact your blood sugar in real life. If you found this information helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based health information that cuts through the confusion. And if you know someone struggling with blood sugar management, share this video. It might be exactly what they need to hear.